There is immense power in silence. In a world filled with noise, chatter, and distractions, silence becomes the ultimate strength. To be silent is not merely to refrain from speaking, but to step into a realm where you can truly hear your soul. Silence is where you align with the divine and become receptive to the whisper of creation. It is in the stillness that transformation occurs, and in solitude, we access the infinite within us. When you cut contact with the external, you grant yourself the gift of rediscovering your essence. The constant connections we maintain often anchor us to old stories, to identities that no longer serve us, and to energies that dilute our power. By severing these ties, you liberate yourself from the limitations imposed by the opinions and expectations of others. You begin to realize that everything you seek resides not in the external world, but within you. In silence, clarity arises. The mental fog created by the endless noise of the world dissipates, and the mind becomes still, like a calm lake reflecting the vast sky. You start to see yourself as you truly are, not as the world has shaped you to be. This clarity allows you to focus on what truly matters, to align with your deepest desires, and to manifest them effortlessly. Cutting contact is not an act of rejection or avoidance, it is an act of self-preservation. It is a sacred withdrawal to recharge, to realign, and to reconnect with your divine purpose. The moments of solitude you carve out for yourself are not acts of isolation, but profound declarations of self-love. You are choosing to honor your inner being, to protect your energy, and to cultivate the garden of your mind. Silence is where faith is born. In the absence of external validation, you learn to trust in the unseen, to believe in the power of your imagination, and to hold steadfast to your vision. In this sacred quietude, your inner world becomes a sanctuary, a place where your dreams take root and begin to flourish. You realize that you are the architect of your reality, and silence is the blueprint through which you design the life you desire. When you step into silence and detach from the external, you become unshakable. You no longer depend on the fleeting approval of others, nor do you sway in the face of adversity. Instead, you stand firm, rooted in the truth of who you are and the certainty of your purpose. This quiet strength is a beacon of light, guiding you through the storms of life and illuminating the path to your highest self. Silence is not an escape, it is an empowerment. It is not a void, but a fullness, a space where you commune with the divine and harness the infinite power within you. By embracing silence and cutting all contacts, you ascend beyond the noise of the world and into the profound stillness where miracles are born. The power of silence cannot be overstated. It is not a passive act, but an intentional and dynamic state of being. To withdraw from the external noise is to reclaim the energy you have unknowingly dispersed. It is to recognize that your thoughts and emotions are sacred, and they deserve a space where they can be nurtured and refined without interference. Silence is not merely the absence of sound, it is the presence of depth, where you meet the divine within. When you cut all contacts, you are not severing ties out of anger or resentment, but stepping into a space of higher understanding. The relationships and connections that once defined you begin to reveal their true purpose. Some were meant to teach you lessons, others to challenge your growth, and some to mirror your own inner conflicts. But when their purpose has been fulfilled, clinging to them becomes a burden. By releasing them, you free both yourself and others from the chains of dependency and allow each soul to journey forward on its own path. In this silence, you find the courage to face yourself. This is not always an easy task. The world often keeps us busy, distracted, and entangled so that we avoid the raw truths that dwell within us. Yet it is in this confrontation that transformation occurs. You begin to unravel the layers of conditioning, fear, and doubt that have obscured your true essence. You discover the strength to forgive yourself for past mistakes, to release guilt, and to embrace the infinite potential that lies dormant within you. Silence becomes your teacher. It reveals to you the patterns of your mind, the rhythm of your thoughts, and the emotions that guide your actions. In the quiet, you observe without judgment, gaining insight into the forces that shape your reality. This awareness is a powerful gift. It enables you to choose your thoughts with intention, to release those that do not serve you, and to cultivate those that align with your highest vision. As you remain silent, the need for external validation diminishes. The opinions, judgments, and expectations of others lose their grip on you. You begin to understand that their perceptions are reflections of their own inner worlds and have little to do with your truth. In this newfound freedom, you no longer feel compelled to explain yourself, to justify your choices, or to seek approval. You stand firm in your authenticity, guided by an inner compass that leads you toward your highest good. Cutting all contacts allows you to recalibrate your energy. The relationships and interactions you maintain require an exchange of energy, and not all exchanges are equal. Some connections uplift and inspire you, while others drain and deplete you. By stepping away, you gain the clarity to discern which relationships are worth nurturing and which are not. You learn to prioritize your well-being, to set boundaries, and to protect your energy as a sacred resource. In this silence, you become attuned to the voice of intuition. It is a soft and subtle whisper that is often drowned out by the noise of the world. Yet this voice is your truest guide, leading you toward your purpose with unwavering precision. As you listen, you begin to trust its wisdom, to act on its guidance, and to witness the synchronicities that unfold when you align with your divine path. The act of silence and detachment is a declaration of faith. It is an affirmation that you believe in the power of the unseen, that you trust in the unfolding of divine timing, and that you are willing to surrender control to a higher power. In this surrender, you find peace. You release the need to force outcomes, to chase after what is not meant for you, and to resist the flow of life. Instead, you align with the natural rhythm of the universe, allowing its abundance to flow to you effortlessly. The world often mistakes silence for weakness, but those who have experienced it know that it is the ultimate strength. To be silent is to be unshakable in your resolve, to hold your ground in the face of adversity, and to remain calm amidst chaos. It is the strength of knowing that your worth is not determined by the noise around you, but by the infinite power within you. When you cut all contacts, you give yourself the gift of solitude. Solitude is not loneliness, it is the joy of being with yourself. It is a space where you can dream without limits, create without judgment, and love without conditions. It is where you reconnect with the divine spark that resides within you and remember that you are a creator of your reality. In silence, you begin to understand the law of assumption. What you assume to be true in your inner world becomes your outer reality. The silence allows you to cultivate thoughts of abundance, joy, and love, planting seeds that will bloom into a life beyond your imagination. You realize that your inner state is the foundation of your external experiences, and that by mastering your mind, you master your life. Detachment does not mean indifference, it means freedom. It is the ability to engage with the world without being entangled by it. It is to love without attachment, to give without expectation, and to live without fear. In this state, you experience the fullness of life without being weighed down by its burdens. You move through the world with grace, knowing that nothing external can define or diminish you. Silence is a space of creation. It is where you connect with the infinite possibilities of the universe and bring them into form through the power of imagination. In this stillness, you see your dreams as already realized, feeling the joy and gratitude of their fulfillment. This act of creation is not a struggle, but a joyful expression of your divine nature. As you continue in silence, you notice the world shifting around you. Relationships that no longer serve you fade away. Opportunities aligned with your purpose appear, and your external reality begins to reflect the inner transformation you have undergone. This is not coincidence, but the result of aligning with the divine order of the universe. To embrace silence and cut all contacts is to step into your power. It is to claim your birthright as a creator, to honor the divinity within you, and to live a life of purpose and fulfillment. It is not a retreat, but an ascension, a journey toward the highest version of yourself. This expanded speech maintains the original tone and integrates deeper reflections on the transformative power of silence and detachment, ensuring it aligns with your requested style. Silence teaches you the art of being. In a world where doing is glorified and being is neglected, silence becomes a radical act. It reminds you that your worth is not tied to your achievements or possessions, but is inherent in your existence. To simply be is to honor the life force within you, to embrace yourself as you are, and to find peace in the present moment. In this state, you are no longer striving or chasing, you are allowing and receiving. The act of cutting all contacts goes beyond physical disconnection. It is an emotional and spiritual disentanglement from everything that does not serve your highest good. It is a decision to release attachments to the past, to let go of resentment, and to free yourself from the chains of guilt and shame. As you do this, you create space within yourself for healing, growth, and renewal. You begin to feel lighter, freer, and more aligned with your true self. In silence, you rediscover your innate power, the power that does not rely on external forces or circumstances, but arises from within. It is a power rooted in faith, imagination, and the unwavering belief in your ability to create the life you desire. This power is unshakable because it is not dependent on the opinions of others or the fluctuations of the external world. It is yours and no one can take it from you. The world often equates silence with passivity, but nothing could be further from the truth. Silence is an active process of tuning in to the divine. It is where your prayers are heard, your visions are clarified, and your intentions are amplified. In this sacred stillness, you align with the creative forces of the universe, becoming a co-creator of your reality. You realize that the most profound actions often arise from the quietest moments of reflection and connection. When you choose to cut all contacts, you are not abandoning others, you are choosing yourself. You are making a conscious decision to prioritize your well-being, your growth, and your journey. This is not selfishness, but self-love. It is an acknowledgement that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and that to give your best to others, you must first give your best to yourself. Silence is also where you find answers. The questions that have plagued your mind, the doubts that have lingered in your heart, and the uncertainties that have clouded your vision all find resolution in the stillness. The divine speaks to you in whispers, not shouts, and it is only in silence that you can hear its guidance. As you listen, you begin to see the signs, the synchronicities, and the subtle nudges that lead you toward your destiny. This journey into silence is not without its challenges. The initial withdrawal from the world can feel uncomfortable, even painful. The mind, accustomed to noise and activity, may resist the stillness. But as you persevere, you begin to experience a profound shift. The discomfort fades, replaced by a sense of peace and clarity. The silence, once daunting, becomes a sanctuary, a place where you feel safe, supported, and whole. In this space, you come face to face with your fears. The fear of being alone, the fear of failure, the fear of not being enough all rise to the surface. But rather than running from them, you confront them with courage and compassion. You realize that these fears are not real, they are illusions created by the mind. And as you see through them, they lose their power over you. Silence allows you to cultivate gratitude. In the absence of distractions, you become acutely aware of the blessings in your life. You notice the beauty of a sunrise, the warmth of a smile, the miracle of your breath. This gratitude is not a fleeting emotion, but a profound state of being. It shifts your perspective, elevating your vibration and opening your heart to receive even more abundance. As you continue in silence, you develop a deeper connection with yourself. You begin to understand your desires, your strengths, and your purpose on a level that was previously inaccessible. This self-awareness empowers you to make choices that align with your truth, to say no to what does not serve you, and to say yes to what lights up your soul. Cutting all contacts is also an act of faith. It is a statement to the universe that you trust in its plan for you. You trust that the relationships meant for you will endure, that the opportunities aligned with your purpose will find you, and that the life you desire is already on its way. This faith is not blind but rooted in the knowing that you are supported, guided, and loved by a higher power. Silence becomes your refuge in times of struggle. When the storms of life rage around you, it is in silence that you find your anchor. You do not need to fight the storm or resist its force, you simply need to be still. In this stillness, you find the strength to weather the challenges, the wisdom to navigate them, and the peace to rise above them. Through silence, you learn the art of surrender. Surrender is not giving up, but letting go of the need to control. It is trusting that everything is unfolding for your highest good, even when it does not seem that way. This surrender brings a profound sense of relief and liberation. You no longer carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, but instead you allow the divine to carry you. The more you immerse yourself in silence, the more you realize its power. It is a power that transcends words, actions, and appearances. It is the power of presence, of being fully here and now. In this presence, you discover the infinite within you, the boundless love, joy, and peace that are your true nature. Cutting all contacts is not an end, but a beginning. It is the start of a journey back to yourself, back to the source, back to the divine. It is a journey of liberation, transformation, and awakening. And as you walk this path, you find that the silence you once feared has become your greatest ally, your most profound teacher, and your deepest truth. This completes the speech with the requested depth and style, staying within the theme and tone of the original request. The silence you cultivate is not merely the absence of sound, it becomes the resonance of truth within you. It begins to echo with clarity, stripping away the lies you may have told yourself to fit into a world that thrives on conformity. In the quiet, you start to see yourself as you are, unmasked, unburdened, and unafraid. This confrontation with your essence might initially feel unsettling, but it is here that transformation begins. It is in the silence that you shed the layers of identity imposed upon you by the expectations of others, revealing the light within. Cutting all contacts is an act of rebellion against a society that often prioritizes superficial connections over authentic self-expression. It is a bold declaration that you will no longer dilute yourself to fit into spaces where you are not valued or understood. This deliberate withdrawal is not a retreat, but an advance toward a deeper understanding of your worth. It is a commitment to creating relationships, if any, that are rooted in mutual respect, love, and truth. As you journey further into silence, a remarkable thing happens. The incessant chatter of the world begins to fade, and the voice of your inner wisdom grows louder. This voice has always been there, but it was drowned out by the noise of external opinions and distractions. Now it becomes your guide, gently leading you toward choices that align with your highest good. You start to trust yourself in a way you never have before. Your confidence is no longer dependent on external validation, but on the quiet assurance that you are walking in alignment with your purpose. The silence also brings with it a heightened sense of perception. You begin to notice things you previously overlooked, the nuances in nature, the subtleties in human interactions, and the profound interconnectedness of all things. This awareness deepens your appreciation for life and reminds you of the sacredness of every moment. You see that the universe is constantly communicating with you through signs, symbols, and synchronicities. And because you are silent, you are able to listen. This process of cutting all contacts does not mean you will never reconnect. But when and if you do, you will do so from a place of strength and clarity, not neediness or insecurity. The relationships you allow back into your life will be those that honor your growth and reflect your values. You will no longer feel compelled to explain or justify yourself to anyone, for you will have learned the profound truth that your worth is not up for negotiation. The silence becomes a portal to divine communion. In the stillness, you begin to feel the presence of something greater than yourself, a force that is at once within you and beyond you. You recognize that you are not separate from this force, but an expression of it. This realization fills you with an indescribable peace and a sense of belonging that no external relationship could ever provide. You are home, and home is within you. This journey is not for the faint of heart. It requires courage to face the silence and to let go of the distractions that have numbed you for so long. It requires faith to trust in a process that often feels uncertain and intangible. But the rewards are immeasurable. You emerge from this experience transformed, with a deeper sense of who you are and what you are capable of. You carry with you a quiet power, a radiant authenticity, and an unshakable peace. The silence you cultivate becomes your most precious possession. It is not a void but a space of infinite possibility. It is where you meet yourself, where you connect with the divine, and where you create the life you were meant to live. It is the foundation upon which you build a life of purpose, joy, and fulfillment. And it is the gift you carry with you always, no matter where you go or what you face. This continuation brings the speech closer to the 2,000-word goal, maintaining the original tone and message while adding depth and resonance to its themes. Let me know if you need further elaboration or additional content. Silence becomes your ultimate sanctuary. It is the place where you no longer feel the pressure to perform or conform, but can rest in the simple truth of your existence. This quiet space, untainted by the chaos of the world, nurtures a profound connection to your soul. In the absence of external voices, you hear your own, unfiltered and authentic. The more you lean into this silence, the more you recognize it as not just a temporary retreat, but as your natural state of being, a state that allows you to live with greater intention and awareness. As the silence deepens, the need for external validation diminishes. You no longer seek approval from others because you realize that the only validation you truly need comes from within. This inner assurance brings a sense of liberation that words cannot fully describe. You become untouchable by the opinions of others because their judgments lose their power over you. What remains is an unshakable knowing that you are enough, just as you are, without the need to prove your worth to anyone. Cutting all contacts amplifies this realization. It is an act of self-reclamation, where you take back the energy you once dispersed among countless relationships, obligations, and distractions. This reclaimed energy becomes a reservoir of creative potential. It fuels your imagination, sharpens your focus, and empowers you to direct your life with purpose. You begin to understand that your time and energy are sacred, and you choose to invest them in ways that align with your vision and values. The silence also teaches you the art of patience. In a world that demands instant results and constant action, silence slows you down and reminds you of the natural rhythms of life. It shows you that everything unfolds in its own time, and that rushing the process only leads to unnecessary stress and disappointment. Patience, born from silence, allows you to trust in divine timing, knowing that what is meant for you will never miss you. Through silence, you develop an intimate relationship with your emotions. Without the noise of the external world, you can no longer ignore or suppress what you feel. Instead, you are invited to sit with your emotions, to understand them, and to let them flow through you without resistance. This emotional awareness becomes a powerful tool for healing and growth. You learn to embrace even the difficult emotions, recognizing them as teachers rather than threats. In doing so, you release the emotional baggage that has weighed you down and make room for joy, peace, and love. The process of cutting all contacts often brings clarity about your priorities. When you step away from the distractions and noise, you begin to see what truly matters to you. You realize that much of what you once thought was important, status, possessions, superficial relationships, holds little significance in the grand scheme of things. What emerges instead is a focus on what brings you genuine fulfillment, meaningful connections, creative expression, and a deep sense of purpose. This journey also strengthens your resilience. The silence and solitude may initially feel isolating, but they ultimately reveal your inner strength. You discover that you are far more capable than you ever imagined, and that you can face challenges with grace and courage. This newfound resilience becomes a foundation upon which you can build a life that is not only fulfilling but also unshakable in the face of adversity. As you continue in this silence, a profound shift occurs in your perception of the world. You begin to see beauty and divinity in everything. The mundane becomes miraculous, and the ordinary becomes extraordinary. This shift is not because the world has changed, but because you have changed. Your silence has allowed you to strip away the layers of judgment and expectation that once clouded your vision. What remains is a pure and unfiltered appreciation for the gift of life. Silence also brings you closer to the divine. In the stillness, you feel a presence that is both comforting and empowering. You come to understand that you are not separate from this divine force, but are an expression of it. This realization fills you with a sense of unity and interconnectedness. You no longer feel alone or disconnected, because you know that you are always held and supported by something greater than yourself. When you cut all contacts, you also cut the cords of dependency that tether you to others for your sense of identity and worth. This independence does not mean isolation, but rather a healthy detachment that allows you to engage with others from a place of wholeness. You no longer seek relationships to complete you, but instead approach them as opportunities to share your completeness with others. The silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back to you the truth of who you are. It reveals not only your strengths, but also your weaknesses, not to criticize, but to help you grow. In this reflection, you find the courage to face yourself fully and to embrace every part of your being. This self-acceptance is not a destination, but a journey, one that continues to deepen and evolve as you remain in the silence. Cutting all contacts does not mean abandoning love, it means redefining it. It means recognizing that true love begins with yourself, and that only by loving yourself can you truly love others. This self-love is not selfish, but sacred. It is an acknowledgement of your divine essence and a celebration of the unique light you bring to the world. Silence also teaches you the power of presence. When you are silent, you are fully here, fully now. You are no longer caught up in the regrets of the past or the anxieties of the future. Instead, you are anchored in the present moment where life is happening. This presence allows you to experience life more fully, to connect with others more deeply, and to live with greater joy and authenticity. As you move through this journey, you may find that the world around you begins to change. This is not because the world itself has shifted, but because your perception of it has. The silence has given you new eyes with which to see, new ears with which to hear, and a new heart with which to feel. What once seemed chaotic and overwhelming now feels harmonious and purposeful. What once felt like a struggle now feels like a dance. The silence and solitude become your greatest allies, guiding you toward a life that is not only fulfilling but also aligned with your highest potential. They teach you that you are not defined by your circumstances, your achievements, or your relationships, but by the essence of who you are. And in this essence, you find everything you have ever been seeking: peace, love, joy, and a sense of oneness with the universe. This continuation reaches the depth and detail needed for a 2,000-word speech, maintaining the reflective and transformative tone throughout. Let me know if you'd like to refine or expand any specific aspect further. In embracing silence and cutting all unnecessary contacts, you embark on a journey of profound self-discovery and empowerment. This path is not about retreating from the world, but about retreating into yourself, into the stillness where your true essence resides. As you quiet the noise and remove the distractions, you open yourself to a deeper connection with your inner wisdom, your divine purpose, and the beauty of the present moment. The world will continue to spin, but you will have found a center within that remains untouched by its chaos. In this silence, you will discover the peace that comes from knowing that you are enough, that you are whole, and that your worth is not determined by the opinions or judgments of others. You will find strength in solitude, clarity in stillness, and purpose in each moment. By cutting all contacts that do not serve your highest good, you make room for relationships that honor your authenticity and align with your soul's purpose. This journey is not for the faint of heart, but those who are willing to face the silence will emerge transformed. They will carry with them a quiet power, a deep sense of self-worth, and an unshakable faith in their ability to create the life they desire. Remember that silence is not an absence, but a presence, a powerful force that can guide you to your highest potential and unlock the beauty within. Embrace it, and let it lead you to the life you were always meant to live. Have you ever considered the incredible power of your words? The way you speak about yourself and your circumstances can shape the direction of your life. Words are not just sounds, they are creative forces with the ability to build or tear down, to bless or to curse. What if I told you that by speaking blessings upon yourself, you could transform your reality? This isn't just positive thinking, it's a timeless truth rooted in both spiritual wisdom and practical experience. The words you speak are seeds, and the harvest they bring depends on what you plant. Today I invite you to explore how the simple act of blessing yourself can unlock doors of opportunity, break the chains of negativity, and position you for the life you've always desired. Let's dive into this powerful practice that can truly change everything. The power of words is something we often underestimate. Every word we speak carries weight and energy, shaping not only our perspective but also the world around us. Words are not just sounds, they are vibrations that influence our emotions, beliefs, and even our destiny. When you speak blessings upon yourself, you are actively participating in the creation of your future. Your words are like seeds planted in the soil of your mind, and what you nurture with faith and consistency will grow into the reality you experience. Many people fail to realize that the way they speak about themselves and their circumstances determines the direction of their lives. Words are not neutral, they carry the potential to bring life or destruction. This truth is deeply embedded in spiritual principles and affirmed by countless personal experiences. Proverbs 18:21 says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." This verse highlights the dual nature of our words. They can either uplift or tear down, bless or curse, heal or harm. What you say about yourself, even in passing, is shaping your reality. Speaking blessings upon yourself is not merely about being optimistic, it is an intentional act of aligning your thoughts, words, and faith with the divine promises and possibilities for your life. When you say, "I am strong," you are not just stating a fact, you are declaring a truth that transcends your current feelings or circumstances. When you say, "I am blessed," you are affirming that you are walking in favor, even if you do not yet see the evidence. These words carry the power to transform your mindset, redirect your actions, and ultimately change your life. It is easy to fall into the trap of negative self-talk, especially when faced with challenges. How often do we say things like, "I can't do this," or "I'm not good enough"? These words create mental barriers and reinforce limiting beliefs that keep us stuck. But what if you chose to speak differently? What if you replaced those doubts with declarations like, "I am capable," or "I am deserving of success"? The shift may seem small, but it has profound effects. Speaking blessings disrupts the cycle of negativity and replaces it with a cycle of faith, hope, and possibility. There is a spiritual law that what you focus on expands. When you speak blessings over your life, you are focusing on abundance, health, and success. Your words become the foundation for a new reality. This practice is not about ignoring the difficulties you face, but about choosing to see beyond them. It is about believing in the unseen and calling forth what is not yet visible. The power of your words combined with faith can move mountains. Your declarations become a partnership with the divine, allowing grace and favor to flow into your life. Speaking blessings is not limited to personal declarations. When you bless others, you create an atmosphere of encouragement and positivity that uplifts everyone involved. The words you speak to and about others have a ripple effect, touching lives in ways you may never fully understand. By blessing others, you also open the door for blessings to return to you. It is a cycle of giving and receiving, rooted in love and compassion. Consistency is key when it comes to speaking blessings. It is not enough to do it once or twice and then forget about it. Just as a plant requires regular watering to grow, your declarations require daily attention. Start your day by speaking blessings over yourself. Declare, "Today is a day of favor. I am walking in purpose. I am surrounded by opportunities. When challenges arise, counter them with words of strength and resilience." Say, "I am more than a conqueror. I am equipped to handle this over time." These declarations will become second nature, reshaping your thoughts and reactions. It is important to remember that speaking blessings is not about denying reality, but about choosing to see a higher truth. Life is full of ups and downs, but your words have the power to stabilize your perspective and anchor you in hope. When you declare blessings, you are not ignoring your struggles, you are affirming that they do not define you. You are choosing to focus on the possibilities rather than the problems. This shift in focus allows you to approach life with confidence and peace, knowing that you are not limited by your circumstances. Faith plays a crucial role in the power of words. When you speak blessings, you must believe in what you are saying. Words without faith are empty, but words spoken with conviction have the power to bring about change. Faith is the bridge between what you declare and what you experience. It is the substance that gives your words life and makes them effective. When you declare, "I am healed," believe that healing is already taking place. When you say, "I am prosperous," trust that opportunities are being prepared for you. Faith turns your words into a powerful force for transformation. visualization can amplify the impact of your words. As you speak blessings, imagine them coming to pass. See yourself thriving, achieving your goals, and walking in abundance. Visualization strengthens your faith and reinforces your declarations, making them even more powerful. It creates a mental image of success that your mind begins to work toward, aligning your actions with your spoken words. The power of words extends beyond the physical realm. They carry spiritual energy that connects you with the divine. When you speak blessings, you are not just talking to yourself, you are aligning with the Creator's will for your life. You are declaring that you trust in a higher power to guide and provide for you. This spiritual connection adds depth to your declarations, making them more than just positive affirmations. They become prayers spoken in faith and expectation. Speaking blessings upon yourself is an act of self-love and self-respect. It is a way of affirming your worth and acknowledging the unique purpose you have in this world. When you bless yourself, you are reminding yourself that you are a child of God, deserving of love, joy, and abundance. You are rejecting the lies of inadequacy and embracing the truth of your divine identity. This shift in perspective empowers you to live with confidence and courage. Your words have the power to shape not only your own life, but also the lives of those around you. By speaking blessings, you become a source of inspiration and hope. You create an environment where positivity thrives and where others are encouraged to speak blessings over themselves as well. This collective energy of faith and positivity can bring about remarkable changes in families, communities, and even the world. The journey of speaking blessings upon yourself is a lifelong practice. It requires intentionality, faith, and perseverance. But the rewards are immeasurable. As you begin to speak life into your circumstances, you will notice a shift in your mindset, your relationships, and your opportunities. You will begin to see the evidence of your words taking shape as blessings flow into every area of your life. The biblical foundation for speaking blessings is deeply rooted in Scripture, where the power of words is highlighted as a tool for creation, transformation, and alignment with God's promises. From the very beginning, the Bible emphasizes that words are not merely sounds, but carriers of divine authority and creative energy. In Genesis 1, God spoke the world into existence, saying, "Let there be light," and light appeared. This demonstrates the profound creative power inherent in spoken words, a power we are called to emulate as beings made in God's image, Genesis 1:27. Proverbs 18:21 succinctly declares, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." This verse underscores the dual potential of our words to bring life or cause harm. By speaking blessings, we are choosing to align with life, declaring truths that bring encouragement, hope, and abundance. The words we speak are like seeds sown into the soil of our lives, and the harvest depends on what we plant. When we declare blessings over ourselves, we are sowing seeds of faith and inviting God's favor into our circumstances. In the Old Testament, the act of blessing was a sacred practice often performed by patriarchs, prophets, and priests. For example, Isaac blessed Jacob in Genesis 27, and his spoken words carry the weight of divine destiny. Similarly, in Numbers 6:24-26, God instructed Moses to have Aaron bless the Israelites with these words: "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace." This priestly blessing is a powerful example of how spoken words can invoke God's favor, protection, and peace. The Apostle Paul also encourages believers to speak words of blessing and edification. In Ephesians 4:29, he writes, "Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that it may impart grace to the hearers." This verse emphasizes the importance of speaking words that build up, inspire, and align with God's purposes. Speaking blessings over ourselves and others is a way to impart grace and reflect God's goodness. James 3:9-10 reminds us of the responsibility that comes with the power of the tongue. With it we bless our God and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in the similitude of God. Out of the same mouth proceed blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not to be so. This passage challenges us to use our words intentionally and consistently for good. When we speak blessings, we honor God and affirm the divine image in ourselves and others. Speaking blessings is an act of faith that aligns our words with God's promises. Hebrews 11:3 tells us, "By faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God. Just as God framed the universe with his words, we have the ability to frame our lives with the declarations we make." When we speak blessings like "I am fearfully and wonderfully made," Psalm 139:14, or "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," Philippians 4:13, we are affirming biblical truths and inviting their manifestation in our lives. In the Bible, God's promises often require our active participation. Speaking blessings is one way we participate in his plan. For example, in Joel 3:10, God instructs his people to declare, "Let the weak say, I am strong." This instruction highlights the importance of speaking in alignment with God's vision, rather than our current feelings or circumstances. When we declare blessings, we are exercising faith and stepping into agreement with God's will. The act of speaking blessings is also tied to the concept of renewal. Romans 12:2 urges believers to be transformed by the renewing of their minds. This renewal begins with what we believe, but it is solidified by what we speak. When we declare blessings such as "I am blessed and highly favored," or "God's plans for me are good," we are reinforcing the renewal process and aligning our thoughts, words, and actions with God's truth. Ultimately, the biblical foundation for speaking blessings lies in our identity as children of God. As heirs of his kingdom, we have the authority to declare his promises over our lives. Romans 8:17 says, "And if children, then heirs, heirs of God and joint heirs with Christ." This inheritance includes the ability to speak blessings, knowing that our words carry divine authority and creative potential. When we speak blessings, we are not only declaring God's promises, but also activating his power in our lives. This practice invites his presence, transforms our perspective, and aligns us with his will. It is a profound act of faith, rooted in the biblical understanding that our words have the power to bring life, hope, and transformation. Breaking negative cycles requires a deep understanding of the patterns that hold us back and the deliberate action to replace them with positive, life-affirming habits and beliefs. These cycles often stem from a combination of past experiences, limiting beliefs, and the words we continually speak over ourselves. The good news is that through the power of intentional speech and reliance on God's promises, we can break free and step into the fullness of life he has designed for us. Negative cycles can manifest in various forms, such as self-doubt, fear, unhealthy relationships, or repetitive failures. Often these patterns are reinforced by the words we unconsciously repeat to ourselves. Phrases like "I'm not good enough," "this always happens to me," or "I'll never succeed" are declarations that perpetuate the very circumstances we wish to escape. Proverbs 23:7 tells us, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." If our inner dialogue is saturated with negativity, it shapes our reality. Breaking these cycles begins with the decision to change the narrative. The first step is to identify the negative words and thoughts that have taken root in our minds. Once we recognize them, we can consciously replace them with blessings and affirmations that align with God's truth. For example, instead of saying "I'll never get through this," we can declare, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," Philippians 4:13. By doing so, we shift our focus from limitation to possibility. The Bible provides numerous examples of individuals who broke free from negative cycles through faith and intentional action. Consider the story of the woman with the issue of blood in Mark 5:25-34. For 12 years, she suffered from a condition that left her isolated and hopeless. But she broke the cycle by speaking faith-filled words to herself. "If only I may touch his clothes, I shall be made well." Her declaration of faith and her action to reach out to Jesus brought about her healing. Her story teaches us that our words and actions rooted in faith have the power to disrupt even the most entrenched patterns. Breaking negative cycles also requires us to confront fear and doubt head-on. Fear is often the root of many destructive patterns, keeping us trapped in a state of inaction or self-sabotage. In 2 Timothy 1:7, we are reminded, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Speaking this truth over ourselves reinforces our God-given authority to overcome fear and step boldly into a new way of living. Another critical aspect of breaking negative cycles is forgiveness, both of ourselves and others. Unforgiveness binds us to the past and keeps us in a loop of pain and resentment. By choosing to forgive, we release the hold that negative emotions have over our lives and create space for healing and renewal. Jesus taught the importance of forgiveness in Matthew 6:14-15, emphasizing that it is essential for receiving God's forgiveness and moving forward. Gratitude is a powerful tool for breaking negative cycles. When we focus on what we are thankful for, we shift our perspective from lack to abundance. This shift allows us to see opportunities for growth and blessings that we may have overlooked. Psalm 104 encourages us to enter His gates with thanksgiving and His courts with praise. By cultivating a heart of gratitude, we open ourselves to God's presence and the transformative power of His blessings. Speaking blessings over our lives is an integral part of breaking free. When we declare, "I am loved, I am chosen, and I am enough," we are not just repeating empty phrases, but affirming God's promises. These declarations, grounded in Scripture, dismantle the lies that have held us captive and build a foundation of truth upon which we can stand. Breaking negative cycles also involves surrounding ourselves with supportive people who speak life into us. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend." The company we keep can either reinforce negative patterns or inspire positive change. Being part of a community that encourages, uplifts, and challenges us to grow is essential for long-term transformation. Prayer and meditation on God's Word are indispensable in breaking negative cycles. Through prayer, we invite God into our struggles and seek His guidance and strength. In Joshua 1:8, God instructs, "This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success." Consistently speaking and meditating on God's Word helps us renew our minds and align our lives with His will. Breaking negative cycles is not an overnight process, but with intentionality, faith, and perseverance, it is entirely possible. As we replace destructive patterns with life-giving declarations, lean on God's promises, and take steps of faith, we will experience the freedom and transformation that comes from walking in His truth. Faith and visualization are powerful spiritual tools that allow us to align with God's promises and manifest His divine plan in our lives. Together they form a dynamic partnership, bridging the gap between believing in unseen possibilities and actively envisioning them as tangible realities. Faith anchors us in God's truth, while visualization helps us picture and emotionally connect with the outcomes we trust Him to bring into existence. Faith, as described in Hebrews 11:1, is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It is the confident assurance that God is working on our behalf, even when we cannot yet see the results. Faith goes beyond mere optimism. It is rooted in God's character and His promises. When we declare blessings over our lives, faith becomes the driving force behind those declarations, enabling us to trust that God's Word will not return void. Isaiah 55:11. Visualization complements faith by engaging our God-given imagination to see and feel the manifestation of what we are believing for. Proverbs 29:18 reminds us, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." Visualization helps us focus on the desired outcome and strengthens our belief in its possibility. When we close our eyes and picture a life filled with peace, purpose, and blessings, we are not merely daydreaming, we are exercising a spiritual principle that aligns our thoughts and emotions with God's wills. The Bible is filled with examples of individuals who combined faith and visualization to bring about divine outcomes. Abraham, for instance, was called by God to look up at the stars and visualize his descendants, Genesis 15:5. Despite being childless at the time, he trusted God's promise and allowed the image of countless stars to reinforce his faith. This act of visualization helped Abraham remain steadfast until the promise was fulfilled. Jesus himself used visualization to teach faith. In Mark 11:24, he said, "Therefore I say to you, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you will have them." This verse encourages us to pray with the conviction that we have already received what we are asking for. Visualization plays a critical role here. It allows us to mentally and emotionally embrace the fulfillment of our prayers, strengthening our faith and patience as we wait on God's timing. One of the greatest benefits of combining faith and visualization is the transformation it brings to our mindset. Romans 12:2 instructs us to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. When we visualize positive outcomes in alignment with God's promises, we shift from a mindset of doubt and fear to one of hope and confidence. This renewed perspective influences our actions, encouraging us to take steps of faith that bring us closer to our goals. Visualization also helps us overcome negative thoughts and circumstances by fixing our gaze on God's possibilities rather than our limitations. Consider Peter walking on water in Matthew 14:29-31. As long as he kept his focus on Jesus, his faith enabled him to do the impossible. However, when he became distracted by the storm around him, doubt crept in and he began to sink. Visualization, when coupled with faith, helps us maintain our focus on God's power rather than the obstacles in our path. Faith and visualization empower us to speak blessings with authority and conviction. When we declare, "I am healed, I am favored," or "God is opening doors for me," and we visualize those declarations coming to pass, we align our thoughts, words, and actions with God's promises. This alignment creates an atmosphere of expectancy, inviting God's supernatural intervention into our lives. Another profound aspect of faith and visualization is their ability to build gratitude even before the blessing arrives. By visualizing our prayers already answered, we begin to thank God in advance, which pleases Him and strengthens our relationship with Him. Philippians 4:6-7 encourages us to pray with thanksgiving, knowing that God's peace will guard our hearts and minds as we trust in Him. Faith and visualization are tools for stepping into our God-given identity. Ephesians 2:10 declares that we are God's workmanship, created for good works. By visualizing ourselves walking confidently in our purpose, using our gifts, and living the abundant life promised by Jesus, John 10:10, we begin to see ourselves as God sees us. This shift in perspective helps us embrace His plans and step into the destiny He has prepared. Faith and visualization, when practiced together, are transformative. They remind us of God's unchanging nature and His desire to bless His children. By believing His promises and picturing their fulfillment, we position ourselves to receive His best and walk confidently into the future He has designed for us. Consistency in self-blessing is essential for fostering lasting transformation and aligning ourselves with God's promises. The act of speaking blessings over our lives is not a one-time event, but a daily, intentional practice that shapes our mindset, actions, and spiritual growth. When we consistently affirm God's truths and speak life into our circumstances, we build an unshakable foundation of faith and expectancy. Consistency in self-blessing begins with understanding the power of repetition. Just as repeated negative words and thoughts can create harmful patterns, consistently speaking positive, faith-filled declarations can rewire our mindset and redirect our lives. Proverbs 18:21 reminds us that death and life are in the power of the tongue. By continually choosing to speak life, we set ourselves on a path of renewal and blessing. Developing a habit of self-blessing requires deliberate effort and commitment. It involves identifying specific truths from Scripture that resonate with our circumstances and repeating them daily. For instance, if you are seeking peace, you might declare, "The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, guards my heart and mind in Christ Jesus," Philippians 4:7. Repeating this blessing consistently reinforces its truth and allows it to take root in your heart. One of the key benefits of consistency in self-blessing is the reinforcement of our identity in Christ. When we repeatedly affirm statements like, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made," Psalm 139:14, or "I am a child of God," John 1:12, we begin to internalize these truths. Over time, they replace feelings of inadequacy, fear, or self-doubt with confidence and assurance in who we are in Christ. Consistency also creates resilience in the face of challenges. Life is filled with ups and downs, but when self-blessing becomes a regular practice, it serves as a spiritual anchor. Even in difficult times, consistently speaking God's promises over our lives reminds us of His faithfulness and keeps our focus on His goodness. As Psalm 34:1 declares, "I will bless the Lord at all times, His praise shall continually be in my mouth." Maintaining this attitude of blessing ensures that our faith remains steadfast, regardless of circumstances. Moreover, consistency in self-blessing trains our hearts to expect and recognize God's blessings. When we consistently declare, "God's favor surrounds me as with a shield," Psalm 5:12, we begin to notice evidence of His favor in our daily lives. This heightened awareness fosters gratitude and strengthens our faith, creating a positive cycle of expectancy and fulfillment. Another vital aspect of consistency is its role in combating spiritual opposition. The enemy often seeks to discourage us and plant seeds of doubt, especially when we are on the brink of breakthrough. However, a consistent practice of self-blessing acts as a spiritual shield, reminding us of the authority and power we have in Christ. When Jesus was tempted in the wilderness, He consistently responded with Scripture, affirming God's truth and resisting the lies of the enemy, Matthew 4:1-11. Following His example, we can use consistent self-blessing to stand firm in our faith. Consistency also influences the atmosphere around us. As we regularly speak blessings over ourselves, our words have a ripple effect on those we encounter. Our positivity and faith can inspire others, creating a culture of encouragement and hope. In this way, consistent self-blessing not only transforms our own lives, but also has the potential to bless those around us. Practical steps can help establish consistency in self-blessing. One approach is to set aside specific times each day for declarations, such as in the morning to set the tone for the day, or in the evening as a reflection and affirmation of God's faithfulness. Writing down blessings and placing them in visible locations, like a mirror or desk, serves as a daily reminder to speak them aloud. Additionally, incorporating blessings into prayer and meditation strengthens the habit and deepens its spiritual impact. Consistency in self-blessing is not about striving for perfection, but about persistence. There will be days when it feels challenging to speak blessings, especially during times of discouragement or doubt. However, it is in these moments that consistency is most crucial. By continuing to declare God's promises, even when emotions or circumstances suggest otherwise, we demonstrate our trust in His unchanging nature. The rewards of consistent self-blessing are profound. Over time, we experience a shift in our mindset, greater alignment with God's will, and an increased capacity to walk in His purpose for our lives. Our consistent declarations create a life characterized by peace, joy, and abundance, reflecting the truth of Proverbs 4:23, "Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life." In practicing consistency and self-blessing, we cultivate a life that honors God and reflects His goodness. It is a commitment to speak His truth, live by faith, and align our words with His promises every day, transforming our lives from the inside out. Blessing others is a profound act that not only enriches the lives of those we bless, but also transforms our own lives in remarkable ways. This principle is deeply rooted in the biblical truth that what we give to others, we receive in greater measure. When we speak life, kindness, and encouragement over others, we align ourselves with God's nature and open the door for His blessings to flow abundantly into our own lives. The Bible repeatedly emphasizes the power of blessing others. Proverbs 11:25 states, "The generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered himself." This verse highlights a divine reciprocity. As we pour out blessings onto others, we position ourselves to receive blessings in return. The act of blessing others creates a cycle of giving and receiving that reflects God's heart for His people. Blessing others shifts our focus away from self-centeredness and toward a mindset of generosity and compassion. In doing so, we mirror the character of Christ, who constantly gave of Himself to uplift and restore others. When we encourage someone with words of affirmation, pray for their needs, or celebrate their successes, we participate in spreading God's love. This outward focus not only strengthens our relationships, but also fills our own hearts with joy and fulfillment. The impact of blessing others extends far beyond the individual being blessed. Words of encouragement, prayers, or acts of kindness can have a ripple effect, touching lives in ways we may never fully realize. A single word of affirmation or prayer can inspire hope, ignite faith, or even change the trajectory of someone's life. As Jesus said in Matthew 5:16, "Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." Blessing others allows us to be vessels of His light in a world that often feels dark. When we bless others, we also cultivate gratitude within ourselves. Seeing the joy or relief our words and actions bring to someone else reminds us of the blessings in our own lives. This gratitude creates a positive mindset, helping us recognize the abundance we already possess and reinforcing our faith in God's provision. It becomes a beautiful cycle the more we bless others, the more grateful and aware we become of God's goodness, which in turn motivates us to continue blessing others. Blessing others also fosters a spirit of unity and community. In a world often divided by differences, the act of blessing others bridges gaps and builds connections. It reminds us that we are all children of God, created in His image and deserving of love and respect. This unity reflects the prayer of Jesus in John 17:21, where He asks that all believers may be one as you, Father, are in me, and I in you. By blessing others, we become instruments of God's peace and harmony. On a spiritual level, blessing others positions us to receive greater blessings from God. Luke 6:38 teaches, "Give, and it will be given to you good measure. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be put into your bosom." This principle applies not only to material giving, but also to the giving of our words, time, and love. When we bless others selflessly, God multiplies those blessings back to us in ways we often cannot anticipate. Furthermore, the act of blessing others strengthens our own faith. When we speak blessings over someone's life, especially in areas where they are struggling, we declare God's promises over their situation. This reinforces our belief in His power and faithfulness. For example, when we pray for someone's healing or breakthrough, we remind ourselves of God's ability to work miracles. In turn, our faith grows as we witness His answers to those prayers. Blessing others also transforms our perspective on challenges. When we focus on uplifting others, even in the midst of our struggles, we find that our own burdens feel lighter. Job's story is a powerful example of this truth. Despite his immense suffering, it was when Job prayed for his friends that God restored his fortunes, giving him twice as much as he had before. Job 42:10. This demonstrates that acts of selflessness and blessing, even during difficult times, can lead to profound personal restoration. Practically, blessing others can take many forms. It might involve speaking life-giving words over a friend, encouraging someone to pursue their dreams, or offering support to someone in need. It could also mean praying for others, sharing our resources, or simply being present to listen and care. Each act of blessing, no matter how small, carries the potential to make a significant impact. Ultimately, blessing others enhances our lives by drawing us closer to God and aligning us with His purpose. It transforms our hearts, enriches our relationships, and allows us to experience the joy of being used by Him to touch lives. In blessing others, we not only reflect His love, but also invite His abundant blessings into our own journey. The difference between the 2% who succeed and the 98% who don't is not luck, intelligence, or background. It's a series of choices, repeated actions, and principles that compound over time. Most people want success, but very few are willing to do what it truly takes to achieve it. The path to success is simple in theory, but requires discipline and consistency in execution, qualities that most people are unwilling to develop. Think of success as a long game. The majority are drawn to the immediate reward, the quick wins, the illusion of overnight success. They see the tip of the iceberg but overlook the years of effort beneath the surface. The 2% understand that real success is built on patience and a willingness to delay gratification. They resist the urge to chase trends or gamble their efforts on fleeting opportunities. Instead, they invest their time and energy in learning, growing, and making decisions that will pay off in the long term. They know that every small action adds up, just as every small inaction detracts from progress. Most people fail because they spend too much time focusing on what others are doing instead of what they should be doing. They compare, envy, and imitate, but rarely do they innovate or stick to their own plan. The 2% don't waste energy on comparison. They're too busy focusing on their goals and refining their strategies. They recognize that the only person they're competing with is the person they were yesterday. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory for them. This mindset protects them from distractions and keeps them moving forward, even when progress feels slow. Another key difference lies in how the 2% handle failure. The majority see failure as a signal to stop. They take it as confirmation that the dream is too big, the goal too distant, or the task too difficult. They quit when the road gets tough. The 2%, on the other hand, embrace failure as a teacher. They understand that every mistake is an opportunity to learn, every setback a chance to refine their approach. Failure isn't a stop sign for them, it's a stepping stone. They don't fear falling short, they fear not trying at all. Discipline separates the successful from the unsuccessful. Most people think they lack time, resources, or connections, but in reality they lack discipline. They lack the ability to stick to a plan, to say no to distractions, to wake up and do the work even when they don't feel like it. The 2% don't rely on motivation. They rely on habits. They create systems that make success inevitable. They know that willpower is finite, so they design their environment and routines to minimize the need for it. They prioritize consistency over intensity, recognizing that small, consistent actions lead to exponential growth. The successful also have a different relationship with money and resources. The majority see money as something to spend, the 2% see it as something to invest. Most people live paycheck to paycheck, trapped in a cycle of consumption. They spend more as they earn more, always chasing material comfort, but never building lasting wealth. The 2% understand the power of compounding, not just in money, but in skills, relationships, and knowledge. They make sacrifices today to enjoy freedom tomorrow. They don't just work for money, they make money work for them. They understand that every dollar spent is a decision. Every hour invested is a step closer to their vision. Fear is another factor that holds the 98% back. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. Most people are paralyzed by what could go wrong, and as a result, they never take the risks that could lead to greatness. The 2% feel the same fears, but they act anyway. They understand that fear is a natural part of growth, a sign that they're stepping outside their comfort zone. They don't let fear control their decisions. They act with courage, knowing that the greatest rewards often lie on the other side of the greatest risks. One of the most profound differences lies in how the 2% view learning. For the majority, education ends with a diploma. They stop seeking knowledge, stop challenging their assumptions, and settle into routines. They rely on outdated skills and wonder why they're left behind. The 2% are lifelong learners. They read, listen, observe, and adapt. They understand that the world is constantly changing and that staying ahead requires a commitment to continuous growth. They don't just consume information, they apply it. They know that knowledge without action is useless. The company you keep plays a significant role in your success. Most people surround themselves with individuals who reinforce their comfort zones, people who don't challenge them to grow or hold them accountable. The 2% are intentional about their relationships. They seek out mentors, allies, and peers who inspire them to be better. They understand the importance of association and the influence of their environment. They're not afraid to outgrow friendships or leave behind relationships that no longer serve their goals. The 2% don't let circumstances dictate their outcomes. Most people blame external factors for their failures, lack of opportunity, bad luck, or the actions of others. They see themselves as victims of circumstances beyond their control. The 2% take full responsibility for their lives. They understand that while they can't control everything, they can control how they respond. They focus on what they can influence and refuse to waste energy on what they cannot. This sense of ownership empowers them to take action, to adapt, and to keep moving forward, no matter what challenges arise. Success is not about talent or intelligence. It's about mindset, discipline, and action. The 2% succeed because they're willing to do what the 98% won't. They choose long-term gains over short-term comfort, responsibility over excuses, and persistence over perfection. They're not extraordinary people, they're ordinary people who've made extraordinary choices. The truth is, anyone can join the 2%. The question is, are you willing to do what it takes? The 2% understand that success is not a destination, it's a journey that requires constant adaptation. The majority of people fall into the trap of thinking success is an endpoint, that once they reach a certain point, the work is done. But success isn't static, it's fluid. It evolves. The people who make it understand that they're not merely aiming for a one-time achievement, they're working to create a lifestyle that reflects their aspirations, values, and goals. They build habits that align with their vision, knowing that it's not just the results that matter, but the process that gets them there. The 98% tend to get caught up in the details of immediate results. They may chase a quick win or measure their progress by comparing themselves to others, looking at surface-level accomplishments and thinking they are successful based on outward appearances. But the 2% know that success is much deeper than what you see from the outside. It's about building a foundation so strong that nothing, no setback or challenge can shake it. They understand that while others are looking for shortcuts, they are embracing the long, often tedious path of building something that will last, a reputation, a legacy, a business, or a skill set. And they do this day after day, no matter how many failures or setbacks they encounter. This focus on long-term thinking is crucial in the distinction between those who succeed and those who don't. The 2% realize that success is a series of small decisions that compound over time. It's about doing the right thing repeatedly, even when the results are not immediate or apparent. This focus on consistency is what sets them apart from the 98%, who are often looking for big leaps and immediate gratification. The 2% know that the magic happens in the small, everyday choices, showing up when they don't feel like it, making the hard decisions, and sticking to their commitments when things get difficult. And yet, even in the face of challenges, they refuse to be discouraged. The 98% give up far too soon. They hit a wall, face an obstacle, and decide that the journey is too hard or not worth it. They allow their emotions to dictate their actions, letting fear or frustration stop them from moving forward. The 2% do not allow temporary setbacks to stop their progress. They understand that obstacles are part of the process and that overcoming them is essential for growth. They know that every challenge they face is an opportunity to grow stronger, smarter, and more capable. They don't back down, they double down. They adjust their strategies, learn from their mistakes, and keep moving forward with even more resolve. Moreover, the 2% understand the importance of focus. The majority of people jump from one idea to another, constantly chasing new opportunities without ever fully committing to any of them. They're attracted to novelty, thinking that the next thing will be their breakthrough, but they never give anything enough time to develop. The 2%, however, recognize that true mastery requires dedication to one thing at a time. They focus on their strengths, doubling down on what works and what aligns with their vision, even when the initial excitement fades. Their commitment to their craft, to their business, or to their personal growth is unwavering. They stick to the plan, refining and improving it as they go. The people who succeed also understand that growth is often uncomfortable. The 98% resist discomfort, seeking the easy way out. They stay in their comfort zones because they're afraid of failure or making mistakes. But for the 2%, discomfort is a sign of progress. They embrace the discomfort that comes with learning new skills, facing criticism, or stepping into unfamiliar situations. They understand that true growth only happens outside of comfort, and they're willing to push through the awkward, challenging moments because they know that on the other side of discomfort lies the breakthrough they've been working for. Patience is another critical trait that separates the 2% from the rest. Most people want immediate results. They're looking for instant gratification, hoping that their efforts will pay off quickly. When it doesn't, they give up. But the 2% have patience. They understand that nothing of true value comes easily or quickly. Whether it's building a business, learning a new skill, or cultivating meaningful relationships, the 2% know that success takes time, and they're willing to invest that time with no guarantee of immediate results. They trust the process, knowing that their efforts will compound and yield results in the long run. It's this patience that gives them the strength to endure when others would quit. The 98% are often ruled by their emotions. When they feel frustrated, overwhelmed, or discouraged, they quit. They lack the emotional resilience needed to see their efforts through. The 2% have developed mental and emotional resilience. They know how to push through difficult times and stay focused even when they don't feel like it. They've trained their minds to stay positive, to look for opportunities and challenges, and to focus on the bigger picture. They know that emotions are temporary, but their actions can determine the future. The 2% also recognize the importance of risk. The majority shy away from risk because they fear losing what they already have. They want to play it safe, to protect their comfort zone and avoid the discomfort that comes with taking a chance. But the 2% understand that nothing significant happens without risk. They're willing to take calculated risks, to step out of their comfort zone, and to bet on their own abilities. They're not reckless, but they know that success requires stepping into the unknown, taking chances, and pushing beyond what is safe and familiar. It's this adaptability that allows them to thrive, even when circumstances change or challenges arise. The majority tend to stick rigidly to one path, refusing to deviate or reconsider when things don't go as planned. They are unwilling to adjust to new realities, and this inflexibility often leads to failure. The 2%, on the other hand, are like water flowing around rocks. They adjust and change their course, learning from every experience, making the necessary changes, and continuing forward. They do not let setbacks define them, they let them refine them. This adaptability is rooted in a deep understanding of themselves. The 2% know who they are and what they want. They have clarity of purpose. This is the starting point for their success. Many people drift through life, letting external forces dictate their choices and actions. They follow trends, mimic others, and chase after what seems popular or promising at the moment. They are reactive, responding to the world instead of proactively shaping it. The 2% have a different approach. They are intentional. They make decisions based on their values, their vision, and their long-term goals. They do not let fleeting distractions pull them away from their path. They are committed to their journey and maintain focus on the bigger picture, even when day-to-day life tries to derail them. Another defining trait of the 2% is their ability to build and nurture relationships that support their success. While most people are focused on competing against others, the 2% understand the value of collaboration. They seek out mentors, build networks of like-minded individuals, and surround themselves with people who challenge them to grow. The 98% tend to isolate themselves, either because they are too proud or because they fear competition. But the 2% know that they cannot achieve greatness alone. They are constantly learning from others, seeking guidance, and building communities that help them expand their horizons. These successful individuals also recognize the power of knowledge. They understand that learning is a lifelong process. The 2% invest in their education, constantly seeking out new information, whether it's through reading, courses, or conversations with those who have walked the path before them. They are voracious learners, never satisfied with what they know, but always hungry for more. This thirst for knowledge is what separates them from the 98%, who may have a few skills or knowledge, but stop learning once they hit a certain level. The 2% know that the world is constantly changing and that they must evolve along with it. They do not rest on their laurels, they continue to grow, adapt, and learn new ways to achieve their goals. Alongside learning, the 2% practice the art of self-discipline. They understand that without discipline, even the greatest talent or idea will falter. The 98% often rely on motivation, which is fleeting and unreliable. Motivation is a temporary force that comes and goes. The 2%, however, rely on self-discipline, which is a muscle that can be strengthened and built over time. They don't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect conditions to act. They create their own momentum through consistent effort. They rise early, stick to their plans, and follow through on their commitments, even when they don't feel like it. Their discipline is what keeps them going when motivation fades, and it is what enables them to stay on track when others falter. The 98% also tend to shy away from responsibility. They look for someone to blame when things don't go according to plan. Whether it's bad luck, circumstances, or other people, they find reasons outside of themselves to explain their failures. But the 2% take full ownership of their lives. They understand that they are the architects of their own future. When something goes wrong, they don't point fingers, they look inward and ask themselves what they could have done differently. They take responsibility for their mistakes, learn from them, and move forward. This accountability is one of the most powerful traits of successful people. They refuse to let external factors control their lives because they understand that their success is determined by their actions, decisions, and mindset. A significant portion of the 98% also lacks patience. In a world where instant results are expected and constant stimulation is the norm, many people cannot stand to wait. They are consumed by the desire for quick gratification, and when their hard work doesn't yield immediate results, they become disillusioned. The 2%, however, are in it for the long haul. They understand that nothing worth having comes easily or quickly. They are willing to invest years, even decades, into mastering their craft and building their success. They embrace the process even when it feels slow or difficult. They trust that their efforts will eventually pay off, knowing that success is a result of persistence, hard work, and time. They do not rush the process because they know that the true rewards come to those who remain steadfast and committed. This ability to take risks is not about blind faith or wishful thinking, it's about calculated decision-making. The 2% are strategic in their approach to risk. They gather information, assess the potential outcomes, and make decisions based on knowledge rather than emotion. They understand the importance of mitigating risks by preparing for potential obstacles and making informed choices. They understand that the greater the risk, the greater the reward, but they don't make decisions based on impulse. They take measured steps, understanding that some risks are worth taking, while others are best avoided. The 2% also understand the importance of perseverance. They don't expect the road to be smooth. They know that life is filled with obstacles, disappointments, and setbacks, but they choose to persevere through them. They understand that success is not about avoiding failure, but about learning how to bounce back from it. They keep pushing forward, even when things seem impossible. They trust that every setback is just a setup for a comeback, and they never give up. It's this persistence, this unwavering commitment to their goals, that allows them to achieve what most people deem impossible. In contrast, the 98% are easily deterred. They are quick to give up when faced with a challenge, to throw in the towel when things don't go as planned. They lack the perseverance to see things through when the going gets tough. The 2%, however, have developed a mindset that refuses to quit. They know that success isn't about avoiding failure, it's about overcoming it, learning from it, and using it as fuel to move forward. The difference between the 2% and the 98% also lies in their ability to control their emotions. The majority of people let their emotions dictate their actions. When they feel good, they act, and when they don't feel good, they don't. This emotional instability leads to inconsistency and ultimately a lack of success. The 2%, however, understand that emotions are fleeting and not always an accurate reflection of reality. They have learned how to manage their emotions, to not let fear, anger, or frustration control their actions. They act according to their principles, not their feelings. They stay consistent because they know that their actions, not their emotions, will lead them to success. What separates the 2% from the 98% is not talent, luck, or intelligence. It's the ability to make decisions that align with their long-term goals, to act with consistency and discipline, to learn from failure, and to embrace the discomfort and risk that comes with growth. They understand that success is not a quick fix, it's a series of deliberate actions taken over time. While the majority are distracted by short-term gains, the 2% are building something lasting. They have mastered the art of patience, resilience, and emotional control. They are not afraid of failure, they see it as a necessary part of success. And they never give up because they know that with persistence they will ultimately succeed. Success is not about being lucky or gifted, it's about making the right choices day in and day out. The 2% are not extraordinary people, they are ordinary people who've made extraordinary choices. The journey of success is one that requires more than just raw ambition, it demands a deeper understanding of how life works. While most people are focused on instant gratification, the 2% have cultivated a mindset that recognizes the importance of delayed rewards. They do not chase quick wins or follow the crowd, because they understand that true success is built over time, often in the face of obstacles. The 2% know that they cannot control every factor in their journey, but they can control their effort, their mindset, and their willingness to adapt. This long-term focus is often evident in how the 2% manage their finances. While the majority of people focus on short-term spending and quick returns, the 2% think long-term. They prioritize saving, investing, and building wealth over time. They do not live for today and ignore tomorrow, they plan for their future. They make decisions with their financial security in mind, often taking risks that pay off in the future, even when it means sacrificing immediate pleasures. This long-term financial mindset is one of the key factors that allows the 2% to accumulate wealth and resources over time. They understand that wealth is not built overnight, but through years of smart, disciplined decisions. The 2% have developed a mindset of abundance. They do not see the world as a zero-sum game, where if one person wins, another must lose. Instead, they see opportunities everywhere. They understand that success is not limited, and there is enough for everyone. They are constantly looking for ways to collaborate, create, and add value to the world around them. They don't worry about competition, because they know that by offering something unique and valuable, they will always find a place for themselves. This mindset of abundance allows them to remain generous, to share their knowledge and resources, and to contribute to others' success as well. They understand that helping others achieve their goals only increases their own chances of success. Another key distinction between the 2% and the 98% is their ability to trust their intuition. The majority of people are ruled by logic, data, and external opinions. They wait for everything to be perfect, for all the facts to align before making a decision. But the 2% trust their instincts. They understand that not everything can be predicted or planned for, and sometimes the best decisions come from gut feelings or personal insights. They take calculated risks based on their inner compass, not solely on external evidence. Their ability to trust their intuition helps them make decisions that may seem irrational to others, but in the end lead to success. This level of trust in themselves also extends to their ability to silence doubt. The 98% are often paralyzed by self-doubt. They question their abilities, their worth, and their chances of success. They listen to the voices of negativity, whether from others or from within. The 2%, however, have learned to quiet these voices. They recognize that self-doubt is a natural part of the process, but they don't let it control them. They know that their potential is limitless, and they refuse to let fear hold them back. They replace doubt with confidence, not because they are always certain of the outcome, but because they trust in their ability to navigate whatever comes their way. The 2% understand that their success is not about individual accomplishment, it's about the impact they have on others. They focus not only on what they achieve, but on how they can help those around them succeed as well. They understand that success is more meaningful when it is shared. This mindset of generosity and service is what allows them to create lasting legacies. They are not just focused on themselves, they are focused on building something that will have a positive, lasting impact on the world. They know that their success is not just measured by what they gain, but by what they give. The 2% succeed because they are willing to do what most people aren't, to embrace the process, to invest in themselves, to learn from their failures, to trust their instincts, and to remain committed to their vision. They don't look for shortcuts or easy paths. They understand that real success is built through hard work, discipline, and resilience. They don't expect the journey to be easy, but they do expect to be successful because they have made the decision to never stop, never quit, and never give in. It is this unwavering commitment to their goals, along with their ability to adapt, learn, and grow, that sets them apart from the 98%. And this, more than anything, is the key to their success. The path to success requires a deep understanding of what truly drives achievement. It is not the ability to work hard or the sheer force of will alone that determines whether someone will succeed, but a combination of mental clarity, emotional resilience, and the wisdom to make the right decisions in the right moments. The 2% have owned these traits, often through years of trial and error, while the 98% remain trapped in a cycle of reactive behavior, chasing short-term rewards instead of long-term fulfillment. One critical element that distinguishes the 2% is their ability to stay disciplined, even when they encounter distractions or challenges. The world is full of noise, and for the 98%, the distractions can feel overwhelming. They may be lured by the latest trends, societal pressures, or external validations, losing sight of their core purpose. In contrast, the 2% have developed a deep sense of self-awareness that allows them to stay grounded and focused on their ultimate goals. They are not swayed by the passing whims of popular opinion or the fleeting desires of the moment. They operate from a place of intention and clarity, knowing that success is not about jumping on every bandwagon, but about consistently working toward their vision. This discipline also extends to their habits. The 2% cultivate good habits that support their goals. These are not just habits of productivity, but habits of mind, spirit, and body. They understand that success requires more than just hard work. It requires sustained effort over time. This is why the 2% focus on building routines that support their growth. They wake up early, they exercise, they prioritize their mental health, and they ensure they have the energy and clarity to make the right decisions. This approach is in stark contrast to the 98%, who may lack consistency or allow unhealthy patterns to derail them. Success is not a one-time event. It is a cumulative result of repeated actions that align with one's values and objectives. Another key trait of the 2% is their ability to set goals that are both realistic and challenging. They don't simply set goals because they sound good. They set goals because they are a reflection of who they are and what they believe in. The 98% may set goals based on external expectations, societal standards, or a desire for validation. They may aim to achieve things that will impress others or meet external markers of success, but they do not always take into account their own personal desires or purpose. The 2%, however, know that setting goals that resonate with their inner values is essential for long-term success. They aim high, but they also know their own limitations and have the patience to work within them. Their goals serve as a guide, not just a measure of success, and they adapt as needed when the circumstances change. This adaptability ties into another crucial aspect. The 2% understand the importance of failure. Failure is often seen as the opposite of success, but for the 2%, it is simply part of the journey. While the 98% may see failure as an end, the 2% view it as a lesson. They do not shy away from failure. They embrace it as an opportunity to learn and grow. They know that success is built on a foundation of mistakes, corrections, and growth. The 98%, in contrast, fear failure. They see it as a reflection of their inadequacy, and as such, they avoid taking risks or stepping out of their comfort zones. The 2% are unafraid to fail because they know that failure is not permanent. It is merely a stepping stone to greater success. This mindset allows them to take the risks that others are too fearful to attempt, and it is this willingness to fail that often leads them to breakthrough moments of success. The 2% do not let setbacks define them. They face challenges with a sense of persistence that the 98% often lack. When faced with adversity, the 98% may give up or retreat, believing that the obstacle is too large to overcome. The 2%, however, dig in their heels and keep moving forward, even when the odds seem stacked against them. This unwavering determination is a hallmark of their success. They know that challenges are not obstacles but opportunities to prove their resilience and adaptability. They approach each setback not with fear or frustration but with curiosity, asking themselves how they can overcome it, learn from it, and use it to propel themselves forward. The 2% also understand the importance of creating value, not just for themselves, but for others. They know that true success comes when they focus on solving problems and making a positive impact. The 98% may chase wealth or recognition, but the 2% focus on adding value to the world in ways that align with their values. They understand that success is not just about what they acquire, but about what they give. Whether it's through their work, their relationships, or their contributions to society, the 2% recognize that lasting success is built on a foundation of service to others. They know that when they help others achieve their goals and improve their lives, their own success will naturally follow. In addition to value creation, the 2% understand the importance of managing their time and resources effectively. Time is the most precious commodity, and they treat it with the utmost respect. The 98% often waste time on trivial pursuits, distracted by things that do not serve their long-term goals. They may spend hours scrolling through social media, watching mindless entertainment, or engaging in activities that provide instant gratification but do little to move them closer to their objectives. The 2%, however, prioritize their time and energy on what matters most. They allocate their time to activities that contribute to their personal growth, their goals, and their well-being. They understand that time is a finite resource and make deliberate choices about how they spend it. This discipline in managing time allows them to achieve more faster and with greater ease than those who squander their time. The 2% also understand the importance of taking care of their physical and mental health. They recognize that success is not sustainable without a strong foundation of well-being. The 98% may neglect their health, focusing solely on external achievements while ignoring their bodies and minds. The 2%, however, understand that true success requires balance. They prioritize sleep, exercise, and nutrition, knowing that these are the pillars that support their mental clarity and physical endurance. They also take time for self-care and reflection, ensuring that they maintain their mental health and emotional resilience. They understand that health is not just about avoiding illness, it is about creating a lifestyle that enables them to perform at their highest level, day in and day out. The 2% cultivate a mindset of continuous improvement. They are always striving to become better versions of themselves. The 98% may reach a certain level of success and then stop, content with their achievements. The 2%, however, know that success is a moving target. They never stop growing. They seek feedback, learn from their experiences, and constantly push themselves to expand their knowledge and skills. They are not satisfied with mediocrity. They are always looking for ways to improve, refine, and evolve. This commitment to personal development is what enables them to stay at the top of their game, year after year. The ability to embrace change is another key difference between the 2% and the 98%. The 98% often resist change, clinging to old methods and outdated beliefs because they fear the unknown. The 2%, however, are comfortable with change. They see it as an opportunity to innovate, evolve, and adapt. They understand that in a rapidly changing world, flexibility is one of the most valuable traits a person can have. They do not fear change, they welcome it as a chance to improve and grow. This adaptability allows them to stay relevant and continue thriving, even when circumstances shift. Another fundamental aspect of the 2% success story is their ability to stay humble. Despite their achievements, they remain grounded and open to learning from others. The 98% may become arrogant or complacent once they experience a taste of success, but the 2% know that they are always in the process of becoming. They are never too proud to learn from their mistakes or accept guidance from others. This humility allows them to grow continuously as they remain open to new ideas and perspectives. The 2% are not just successful because of their individual traits, but because they operate with a mindset that is aligned with the principles of abundance, generosity, and service. They recognize that success is not about competing with others, but about creating value, solving problems, and helping others reach their potential. They do not see life as a zero-sum game, but as a field of endless opportunity. This mindset of abundance, combined with their discipline, adaptability, and resilience, is what allows the 2% to achieve extraordinary success, while the 98% remain stuck in the cycle of struggle and mediocrity. The success of the 2% is not an accident, it is the result of intentional choices, disciplined actions, and an unwavering commitment to growth and excellence. They understand that success is not a destination but a journey, one that requires patience, perseverance, and the courage to keep going even when the road gets tough. They embrace every part of the journey, from the challenges to the triumphs, knowing that each step is necessary for their growth. This is the secret to their success, a relentless commitment to their vision, a willingness to fail and learn, and the unwavering belief that they can achieve anything they set their minds to. It's this mindset, more than anything else, that separates the 2% from the 98%. The disparity between the 2% who succeed and the 98% who do not comes down to a set of intentional choices, a mindset, and a commitment to growth that the majority of people often overlook. Success is not a product of mere talent or chance, but of relentless discipline, adaptability, and a deep understanding of one's values and goals. The 2% succeed because they embrace failure as a lesson, prioritize value creation, manage their time effectively, and continuously invest in their personal development. They approach life with an abundance mindset, knowing that success is not a finite resource, but something that grows as they give more to the world and to themselves. The 98%, on the other hand, often find themselves sidetracked by distractions, fear of failure, and a focus on short-term rewards. They may seek validation from external sources or settle for comfort instead of pursuing their deeper purpose. The road to success is not easy, but it is accessible to anyone willing to adopt the principles and mindset of the 2%. By focusing on long-term goals, maintaining discipline, and being willing to learn from failure, anyone can shift the trajectory of their life toward lasting success. The difference is clear. The 2% understand that true success requires more than just effort. It requires vision, resilience, and a willingness to keep pushing forward, no matter the obstacles. The choice is ours.